Okay, you ready?
Yes, but wait. First, let's have a nice cold lemonade with ice and just a tiny little bit of salt.
Not bad.
Come on, you didn't really think that was all, did you? Time for some booze. Let's go and kidnap somebody.
മേഘം പൂത്തു തുടങ്ങി മോഹം പെയ്തു തുടങ്ങി മേദിനി കേട്ടു നെഞ്ചിൽ പുതിയൊരു രാഗം മേഘം പൂത്തു തുടങ്ങി മോഹം പെയ്തു തുടങ്ങി.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
And once a month we put up a vote and let our patrons and YouTube members decide which movie we should watch and review next. This time it was all about Malayalam classics. The options were Godfather, Thoovanathumbikal and Vidyan. And though the latter got the most votes on YouTube, when we combined it with the numbers on Patreon, the winner was Thoovanathumbikal.
Thoovanathumbikal, which means dragonflies in the spraying rain, is a 1987 Malayalam romantic drama, was written and directed by Padmarajan. And it's actually partly based on Padmarajan's novel Udakapola. Now, Thoovanathumbikal is considered to be one of the greatest, most unforgettable and most romantic Malayalam films of all time. It enjoys a cult status.
Yes, especially among the youth. And I think that's because of the themes. This movie deals with the intense emotions of love and lust, and all from the perspective of a typical Malayali bachelor, namely Jaya Krishnan, played by Mohanlal. But you don't have to be a Malayali to feel for and with him.
When it comes to love, I think we're pretty much all the same. Our feelings are everywhere. We don't know what to do. We booze too much, or I booze too much. What I'm trying to say is that Thoovanathumbikal tackles universal themes. Anybody's able to find something in it.
Now let's break down the story real quick. Jaya Krishnan falls in love with two women. Radha, played by Parvathi, who's a distant relative of him, and Clara, played by Sumalatha, who's an escort in town. That's actually it. So we are right in the middle of this confusing and difficult situation.
Exactly, but you forgot one character. The rain.
How could I forget the rain? As you might know by now, I have a weak spot for the depiction of rain in movies. Probably half of the score I gave Inno Ninte Muidin was because of that. And in Thoovanathumbikal it plays an essential part as well. It is directly linked to Jaya Krishnan's longing for Clara. When he's writing the letter to fool Clara's father and it is pouring rain outside his window, it's in that moment that he dreams of her face for the first time. And he hasn't even seen her before at that point.
There is this kind of magical connection between Jaya Krishnan, Clara and the rain. And not just the rain, also the element of water, because in one of the film's most wonderful and intense scenes, we see the two of them lying at the beach at night, getting embraced by the sea.
That's also the moment where we get the first song. There are actually only two songs, but with this movie, it's quality over quantity for sure, as both of them are absolutely beautiful.
They were composed by Perumbavurji Ravindranath with lyrics by Srikumaran Thampi, and as you said, they are both wonderful and an essential part of the story.
Since the movie is about the relationships with these two women, it's of course fitting that we only have two songs, one dedicated to each one of them. But apart from the songs, the whole score is quite magical. It was composed by Johnson Master, and there's this truly beautiful rain and romance theme, which is also played when Jaya Krishnan is imagining Clara for the first time.
Yes, this recurring theme is really great, and it kind of illustrates what a musical theme in a movie is able to do and able to convey, and probably also how it should be done, because Johnson Master composed it in different styles and pitches and with different orchestrations, so it can be featured in all kinds of situations, be it a happy one, be it a sad one. That's the magic behind a cleverly written musical theme, aside from the fact, of course, that it's supposed to have a memorability.
And that it has. I'm humming it all day, every day since I saw the movie.
Yep, me too.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the characters and the way the story is unfolding. At first I thought Jaya Krishnan might just be this hot-headed bachelor. I enjoyed his brisk and sometimes ruthless nature, but when he confessed his love to Radha and proposed also in this very direct way, I feared this might turn out to be too much about his broken male ego. And I mean, it's definitely a little bit, but Jaya Krishnan is also a very sensitive soul who has very strong beliefs or rules of how to live his life.
I was thinking pretty much the same about him, a guy who's looking for trouble and nothing else. Adding to that is the fact that we don't really know who he is or where he's coming from. We know that he's a bachelor and we know that he's got money and connections, like an underworld gangster. People know him. He also mentions that he's the son of a justice and that he didn't have freedom until his father died. It's those little asides that form his character. For example, we also learn that not only Clara was a virgin before she slept with Jayakrishnan, he was too.
Jayakrishnan is actually very open about his feelings. That's a great thing about this movie in general. People are opening up their hearts and talking about their deepest feelings and fears. For example, I liked how Radha is scorning Jayakrishnan because of his rude behavior, although at first she isn't that nice herself. Also with Clara later on, Jayakrishnan isn't forcing himself onto anyone when he gets a clear message. And he's very much at the mercy of Clara coming back to him, and then leaving him again, and coming back, and so on and so forth.
He's very sincere and blunt with both of them, and I think you can really comprehend his struggle. He just doesn't know who he should pick, what he should do. And it's nice that a character who's supposed to be this tough guy can't make a decision that easily.
Yeah, I think at one point Radha's brother Madhavan tells her that everything's a game for Jayakrishnan. So it's kind of fascinating to see Jayakrishnan in a situation like that. A game that he can't control or is even afraid to lose. Because it's actually more than just not knowing who to pick. Certain things are simply out of his hand, especially when it comes to his difficult relationship with Clara.
That's true. So what did you think of Mohanlal?
I think of all the performances we have seen from him so far, this one might be my favorite. It's quite nice how he's able to play this torn character who's trying to be tougher than he actually is. Like a hard shell with a soft core. Something that he does more with his buddies than with Radha and Clara. Because as we said, he's actually a very kind soul.
I also liked him. He has a certain subtlety about him that works really well with a character like Jayakrishnan. But I think his performance in Chitram remains my favorite because I like him most when he's equally serious and silly. And his chemistry with Ranjini in that one was just awesome.
That's fair, but I think his chemistry with Parvathi, with whom he later also worked in Kirtidam, and especially Sumalatha is also great. The relationships are keenly observed and feel real. So the way all those big emotions between the three are unfolding is quite contagious. Of course, it's very melodramatic, but if you like something in that vein, you can happily indulge into all the highs and lows of love and loss with this one.
Oh, absolutely. I think that also works so well because of the way the story is constructed, particularly when it comes to the female characters. Radha is the first woman Jayakrishna approaches. When he gets the brush off, she's more or less out of the movie and Clara comes in to conquer his heart. When she disappears, Radha comes back into the picture, and from that point on, the three of them are in the story, so you get a good feel for all these entanglements.
It's good that you mentioned that, because there are a few things that I had my difficulties with. The first one being how those love relationships begin. It's definitely a cultural thing as well, and we have become more familiar with it over time, but it's still baffling how someone confesses his love and proposes to someone that he really knows almost nothing about. Jayakrishnan hasn't seen Radha for years, and now he immediately wants to marry her.
Yes, that's definitely a cultural thing, and I also had my difficulties with it, but all in all it didn't have any impact on my feelings towards the movie.
It wasn't a problem for me either, it just attracted my attention. But one thing I really did miss, or rather an opportunity that the movie missed, is the portrayal of Radha's change of heart. You know, when she comes back into the picture after Clara eloped, at first Radha doesn't like him at all, but then when she learns more about him, when she learns more about his true character, she falls for him. Which is okay, but it would be better to show that process.
This is something we've seen a few times in Indian cinema, especially older movies. This heavy emphasis on just telling certain plot points and developments and then just accepting them instead of showing them.
Maybe it's just a different kind of storytelling tradition that's a bit strange to me, but I assume that it would be better to depict that process of falling in love in more detail and not just do it through the dialogue, especially when the movie is 2.5 hours long.
I'm completely with you on that. There are a few things that just would have worked better if they were either carried out more extensively, like Radha's change of heart, or less extensively, like this side plot with Ramanuni Nair.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. How they later kidnap and threaten him, and also that Radha is just okay with it later on. They almost laugh about it.
They could have just cut that completely. If it's supposed to show what a tough guy and hothead Jayakrishnan is when he's with his friends, or how he tends to drink a lot of alcohol to put a damper on his feelings, it would have worked just as fine without the Ramanuni Nair situation. I think how he drinks and how he acts with his friends is already notable when he's in the bar with Rishi for the first time.
That's how I thought the character of Jaya Krishnan would be at first. And then he was or became this kind soul. So when he got back to that at the end, it felt kind of baffling to me. And it also felt kind of pointless to the overall story, and because it's already quite long, I personally would have been very fine with it not being in there at all.
I think these are the biggest gripes we have with Thoovanathumbikal, but they almost get lost in the overall very nice experience. And I really like the ending, by the way. It's nice how everything and everybody finds its place.
I agree. So what would we say in German about Thoovanathumbikal?
Was für ein romantischer Film. Thoovanathumbikal widmet sich voll und ganz der Liebe und begeistert mit aufrichtigen und offenen Charakteren und ihren fundierten Beziehungen. Dass der Film etwas zu lange geraten ist, lässt sich zudem aufgrund der tollen Leistungen von Mohanlal, Parvathi und Sumalatha vernachlässigen.
I give Thoovanathumbikal 8 out of 10. It's more like 7.5, but I don't do that.
For me, it's 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.3, but I don't do that either. Did you know that both Parvathi and Sumalatha quit their acting careers? Parvathi settled with her family and Sumalatha actually became a politician in 2019. Mohanlal, on the other hand, still going strong. 363 acting credits and no end in sight.
Our dear Lalatan. So, what are your thoughts about Thoovanathumbikal? Leave a comment and hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd, and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister.
And if you're new to the channel, please take a look around. We have reviewed about 200 Indian movies by now, and we also have a special playlist for all the Malayalam language ones that is linked in the description below. You can also become a member now and get exclusive rewards. And last but certainly not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like, and make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.